After years of drought in the Team Fortress community, a new update finally comes out. The summer update with an all new game mode. And don't forget about the maps and the crates. Anyway, like any recovering drug addict would, I was looking for any excuse to play this game. The only problem is that nowadays I'm absolutely dog water, and I've only been a few months sober. I mean, I have 900 hours, so ideally I shouldn't be bottom fragging. So I fumbled around for like an hour or two, just hoping that something inside me would change, then I would just get better, but I didn't. Maybe a change of environment, something that would make me have to think about the gameplay differently. It couldn't be something like joining like a furry zombie ×10 Minecraft trade server like some other dumb idiot game mode. It needed to be something more drastic. Then a foul idea started to form in my head, stripping away that succulent nectar known as color from tf2. I didn't know it yet, but this measly little idea would cause me a whole world of grief. So here's the plan. I'm gonna play every class in the game for around 1 hour in black and white, and hopefully I'll be better on the other side. Now it's time to unveil the machine.
So I made this thing as an indicator to show when I'm gonna turn the video into black and white and when I'm exiting it. I didn't really think that you could just see with your eyes. You know, you don't really need a massive ass graphic to show up on the screen to tell you that, you know, if there's color or not, unless you're like colorblind. I don't know. It was just made to boost viewer attention, to be honest, but it's fine. I didn't really think about the whole eye thing. And it's all recorded in color, by the way. I swear to God, I turned on the screen filter for black and white. It is in black and white, okay? I swear to God. On with the video.
Nice hustle, tons of fun. Next time eat a...
The Scout is the most simple gameplay out of all the classes other than maybe Sniper. You just run fast and shoot things, which is surprisingly some of the best fun you can have in this game. You also get to play as a deranged Bostonian.
'Cause I'm deranged right now, okay?
Now, the crux of the problem of playing without color is not being able to tell the teams from each other. I mean, literally, look at this cool little graphic I made. They're literally the exact same shade of gray. You can't tell them apart. It's impossible. This challenge is gonna be hell. I had to find a way to decipher the two teams, and I had to do it fast, or else this challenge was going to be agony, and luckily, I did. It happened to be something I never noticed before. It turns out, when you're looking at a teammate, a tiny little box pops up and shows the name of the person that you're looking at. Now, the notable part of this little feature is that when you look at an enemy, no name appears. So this is a definitive way to actually tell who's who. The problem being that it is a tiny little indicator on a big screen, and you're looking for the absence of it to react to instead of its existence. And speaking of little features that I gave little thought to before I started this journey, my own health indicator started to prove to be an issue. While playing tf2 normally, I sort of entered this state of focus where I can see the game clearly, but the numbers on the UI start to blur a little bit, especially with my health. I learned to only pay attention to it when it became red, but without color, the symbol is just hard to notice. I died pretty frequently. Now at this point, the lack of color was starting to get a little annoying, but I was getting used to it, learning to use other context clues around to understand what's actually going on. The Scout is built different. He's built to flank. Playing Scout is just irresistible not to take the flank route, like a spy main to weeb shit. But the important part is that you need to know who you're flanking. There were a couple times where I was flanking the Scout and I just ended up trying to shoot my own team because they pushed up far enough. There are plenty of little small things that you wouldn't even think of until you actually try to play like this, such as sentries, specifically sapped sentries, or if they're being built. In this clip, I walked in on 2 spies doing some weird stuff to the sentry. I mean, I'm not one to judge, but it was so bad I had to censor it. It was disgusting. And I honestly thought that the sentry was on the enemy team because it was sapped. I loaded a bunch of lead into it and gave those damn spies a chance to slip away and escape. We're about an hour in and I'm starting to forget which side of the scoreboard is which. Not that it ultimately matters. Scout, my final average KD ratio was about 1.3, which is not too bad. I was a little bit surprised.
Get to the point, you losers.
Hey, I'm not a loser. That's so messed up.
Today is a good day.
Initially, I thought playing soldier wasn't going to end too well. See, most weapons in tf2 are manual action, except for a few which are automatic. So you have to wait for an animation to play while the scout puts a lever or the soldier loads another rocket into the launcher. And the longer this animation is, the easier it is to waste shots. So when playing without color, it made it even easier to waste shots trying to blow up teammates. Oh, and here's another thing. Rewind a little bit. Without color, stickies are completely unknown. So I thought a demo on my team put this here, but nope. The blast damage from the rockets did help a little bit with checking for players' teams. I wasn't performing too bad as soldier, and I started to settle into the challenge a little bit. I actually found myself enjoying the experience because it was almost relaxing. I think I was being less hard on myself because I knew I was at a disadvantage, so I could take it less seriously. My final KD ratio is a slight improvement at 1.5. Dear God, he follows me wherever I go. Pyro was the easiest class in the entire challenge. Why? Well, unlike Soldier's manual rocket launcher, Pyro has the flamethrower. You don't have to worry about who your enemy is, you just gotta hold down M1 and if they catch fire, they are on the enemy team. The fire itself acts like a temporary marker of who's on which team, making this whole challenge a whole lot easier. There is, however, one caveat. If your teammates are on fire, you might be less inclined to extinguish them. It's not like Pyro players do that anyways. I suck at reflecting. I have a lot of trouble predicting when they're gonna launch a projectile at me, and this is exaggerated twofold because it takes me a second to even process what team they're on, so I'm not always expecting it. During combat, if someone leaves my sight for just even a second, I completely forgot what team they were on. So sometimes I had to repeatedly check if someone was on my team. And accepting this idea, the more open the map is, the easier it is to lose people. More places for them to spread out, and I found myself losing my team frequently. When I was playing Scout earlier and I mentioned that flanking was difficult so you had to know who you were flanking, I quickly found that enemies that are flanking, or even just enemies that are merely entering or fighting at a weird angle, were basically invisible to me, a blind spot. This is really apparent on that new map Rotunda. One of my favorites in the new update, but it's basically just one big flank route, if you think about it. At this point I was really starting to miss color. Black and white, it was like prison food for my eyes, just indescribable gray sludge. I could feel my sanity start to slip. I wasn't even halfway yet, but I had to push forward. I was a little surprised with this one. I thought it was going to be much higher, but my KD ratio was only 1.6, one up by 1/10.
Hey, me bottle of scrumpy!
Not too much to say about playing demo specifically. Sticky spam is a great way to just clear out people and figure out who isn't an enemy, especially firing down choke points where I know that the enemy side is pushing. Traps, however, are a different story. Usually when I'm setting up a sticky trap, I'm a little trigger happy. Just reiterating the blow up anybody who walks by, usually depending on team color. But without color, I ended up just trying to blow up my teammates. I also played a bit of Demo Night, which really, the only difficulty was with charging. You have to be absolutely sure you're charging towards an enemy or it's a bit of a waste of the charge. Well, that's it for Demo Man. My KD was 1.4.
Heavy will now lay egg in your...
The Heavy, being the tank class in the game, gives you some extra survivability, which gives you some time to process what's going on and some time to stop and smell the roses until you get backstabbed or headshot. The minigun and the flamethrower are both automatic weapons, which makes them good at weeding out enemies in big groups of players. Now the flamethrower is a lot better for this, but the minigun makes do, even if it costs a lot of bullets. Even though we're halfway through this challenge, I still haven't learned to look at my health indicator. This thing has gotten me killed a lot. If I didn't have a custom HUD, it would probably just be easier since it's a visible meter that empties. It wasn't just a health indicator that was hard to spot either. It was hard to tell if you were ubered or on fire because the effect just blended into the world behind it, which, as you might imagine, caused some problems.
It's been days, it's been weeks. Dear God, it's been... Oh, I haven't had one drop, one pixel of color. It's been so long.
Sometimes you just need a little...
Now for the engineer section of the video. Starring Jamie Heineman from the hit show Mythbusters. Now, I ain't no Uncle Dane, but I certainly am an engie main. I wasn't too worried about this part because I can hold my own as engineer, and luckily for me, the sentry isn't weak like us futile humans. It doesn't exactly need color in order to shoot the right players. Now that's all fine and good if I was looking to play engineer in the most boring way possible, but I'm not. Initially I tried playing defensively, the logic being that putting myself out there I'd get surrounded by enemies and just not recognize them until it was too late. But actually, playing offensively was the right call. So I switched to the gunslinger and I started doing really well. I was blind and my mini sentry was my guide dog. I found myself being more oblivious to spies than normal. Spy. Oh dear god. It all makes sense, the flamethrower, the blast damage, the flanking enemies, everything. Everyone is a spy.
Well, off to visit your mother.
The tf2 gland in my brain is on overdrive, just constantly in spy checking mode. Not even just enemies, but teammates, they're all spies until proven innocent. Anyway, my KD ratio hits an all-time peak for the challenge with a 2.2. It's all downhill from here.
Whoops! That was not meant.
Now medic was going to be difficult. It's pretty crucial to know who and who not to heal. And there were a couple times where I ended up running away from dying members of my team because I thought they were enemies. And a minor thing, when enemies were ubered, it was a little hard to tell what team they were on until they started trying to kill you, of course. My KD ratio predictably went down with medic with a 1.5.
Wake 'em out of your head, wanker.
Alright, I'm gonna preface this with the fact that I suck at sniper. The lack of color also made this a lot worse for me, especially with crowds. It was hard to pick out the right people to shoot, and since shots are few and far between, it was easy to waste a lot of time trying to headshot a teammate. And on choke points, it was a little easier because my team's backs were usually faced towards me. And somehow I pulled off a KD ratio above 1 by 0.2. 1.2.
Oh, only joy in my life is from frags. Only 1 hour to go. I don't know if I can do it.
You got blood on my suit.
Playing spy in black and white is awful. That little name indicator thing at the start, which proved to be the only thing I could ever truly rely on, remember that? Entirely useless now, since name indicators show for enemies as well. Which ultimately doesn't make much sense. I mean, uber percentage and health makes a bit of sense, but why do I have to know their names? It's important to know who's an enemy because it's hard to get behind enemy lines when you don't know where that line is. You can't rely on enemies reacting to your presence either because, you know, as a spy it's basically a death sentence. So there's only one real way I know how to combat this. Gun spy. But even after all that, my average KD ratio was only 1.3. You know, we really don't appreciate such simple things in life until we lose them. The greens, the reds, blues, purples, even the browns. Who am I kidding? I know what you're here for. The real grand answer of it all. Am I actually any better at the game? No,